If you ask 100 people what causes heart disease, the number one answer will be high cholesterol. The problem with that idea is that although it contains a nugget of truth, for many people, it's deeply misleading. Because when we obsess over cholesterol level, we risk missing the real cause of heart disease, and the consequence can be lethal. So today we're talking about the real root cause of heart disease and how once you understand it, you can not only prevent the condition, but even to some extent reverse it if you already have it. First, where does this idea of the cholesterol come from? Well, the main type of heart disease involves plaque in the artery walls, and the primary component of plaque is cholesterol. There is no plaque without cholesterol in the artery wall. So that part is true. Also, in populations with higher cholesterol level, we see more heart disease. So that's also true. But many people have high cholesterol and don't have heart disease, and many have heart disease with normal cholesterol. So how's that possible? Well, what almost never gets explained is how the cholesterol ends up inside the artery wall. Cholesterol is carried by microscopic vehicles that float around in our bloodstream, and it's those vehicles that carry it across the artery wall. When we have too many of these vehicles in circulation, they cross into the artery wall more often, they get stuck in there, and plaque grows, even if cholesterol level is completely normal. So you see how the tunnel vision on the level of cholesterol can be fatal because it misses this key distinction and this mismatch with the actual number of vehicles. And this mismatch, where the cholesterol level is normal, but the number of vehicles is high, is incredibly common. We're not splitting hairs here. In some populations, we see it in 70 to 75% of people. What causes this problem is our diet. Refined grains, purified added sugars, soda, alcohol, junk food. These products cause insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes, and they cause the number of some of these vehicles, the largest kind, we call them remnants, to go up, even if cholesterol level stays completely normal. One randomized control trial had people limit commercial bakery products and sweets and pastries to once a week maximum, and also favor whole grains like steel-cut oats or wild rice over refined grains, and also have fresh, unprocessed fruits and vegetables daily. Over time, they saw a reduction in the thickness of the artery wall and the thickness of the plaque itself. This is a very striking result because we normally don't see this in Westerners unless they're on very powerful medication, but it turns out we can actually turn back the clock. We can reverse the problem to some extent by changing our diet. This is such a powerful concept, and yet a lot of doctors still don't realize this is possible. I wasn't taught this in medical school. These large vehicles, the remnants, carry some cholesterol, but what they carry a lot of is triglycerides. So that's the typical presentation in type 2 diabetes, obesity, insulin resistance. Cholesterol isn't that high. It can even be perfectly in the normal range, but triglycerides are high, and HDL is usually low because these vehicles will swap different types of fats between them. So high triglycerides usually go hand in hand with low HDL. And those individuals are at high risk of heart disease, even though triglycerides don't form plaque, because our body is very good at breaking them down and removing them from the artery wall. The high triglycerides are a red flag. They're an indicator. They point the finger that there are too many of these large vehicles that cause heart disease. Now, some people have no diabetes, they're lean, they have normal triglycerides, normal HDL, but they still have heart disease. Because you can have a normal number of these large vehicles, but there are many other sizes in circulation as well. And any of those are problematic if there's too many of them. You can think of the large vehicles as buses on the road and the smaller vehicles as maybe Ubers on the road, and too many of either kind will cause a traffic jam. These other sizes of vehicles are also determined by our diet, mainly by the types of fats that we eat. Healthy fats like extra virgin olive oil and other liquid vegetable oils, avocados, walnuts and almonds, different seeds like chia seeds or sesame seeds, and some fermented dairy like unsweetened Greek yogurt and fatty fish. The types of fats in these foods help maintain these vehicles in the normal range. In a randomized control trial conducted in France, people who had suffered a heart attack previously were given a diet where the main types of fat in the Western diet were replaced with healthy fats like fish and olive oil or canola, and their risk of dying of heart disease was cut by more than 70%. Okay, how can we tell how many of these vehicles we have in circulation? There is a blood test that can give you that reading. It's called ApoB. It's a measure of the number of these vehicles that can cause heart disease, but you can also estimate that with a formula without spending any money. It's free and it works pretty well. I'll put it down here. You can pause the video and write that down. We also have an entire video going over that in detail, and I'll link that in the description. Now, some people have normal cholesterol, normal triglycerides, and even normal ApoB, and they still have heart disease. So what's going on there? Well, we need to talk about the nastiest type of these vehicles, a small subcategory called Lp(a). And this is another big piece of the puzzle because 1 in 5 people have a high concentration of these vehicles. And it's genetically determined. It runs in families. It runs in my family. And often what you'll see is in a family where people have heart attacks at a young age, in their 30s, in their 40s, they don't have diabetes, they don't have high blood pressure, their cholesterol isn't that high, and yet they have these massive heart attacks at a young age and they just drop dead. Often that comes down to high Lp(a). Now, there's nothing currently that brings a high Lp(a) down to the normal range. There are therapies being studied. Right now, what we do is we try to control everything else, all the other types of vehicles we talked about, and also some important factors we'll talk about next. Generalized low-grade inflammation is like throwing fuel on a fire. It speeds up heart disease. It's not necessary. You can have heart disease without generalized inflammation with normal inflammatory markers. Many people do, but it makes things a lot worse. Inflammation promotes the transport of the vehicles across the artery wall. People often think that the wall creates cracks and that's how the vehicles get in. And that can happen and that makes things worse, but it's not necessary. Vehicles are transported across an intact, normally functioning artery wall. It's a normal biological phenomenon. Normally, that's not a big problem if everything's working well. But if that transport is sped up, either because we have an abnormal number of vehicles or because we have this generalized inflammation, then it can become an issue. And we can shut down inflammation very powerfully using our food as well. Foods rich in tocopherols, which neutralize free radicals and help shut down inflammation. Chia seeds and almonds and cashews. Potassium is another important player. It helps lower inflammatory markers in the blood. So foods like sweet potatoes and lentils and avocado and spinach and kefir, which is a fermented milk with probiotic effects that supports our microbiome and helps shut down inflammation. And catechins, which have an anti-inflammatory action as well and are concentrated in matcha tea and cherries and dark chocolate and many kinds of berries. And there's a natural supplement that helps turn down inflammation called propolis. We have a whole video going over that, and I'll link that below as well. It's also extremely important to treat underlying inflammatory conditions like inflammatory bowel and some autoimmune conditions. Those diseases put your body in an inflammatory state and they help accelerate heart disease. Okay, another crucial player is blood pressure because high blood pressure damages the wall of the arteries and accelerates heart disease. Foods that help control blood pressure include leafy greens like Swiss chard and kale. They're very high in magnesium and nitrates, which help relax your blood vessel wall. And almonds and Brazil nuts can help bring down blood pressure as well. And legumes like beans, edamame, and beets. A randomized control trial used a DASH diet which is aimed at controlling blood pressure. And over time, they saw a reduction in soft plaque, which is the vulnerable type of plaque that bursts and can cause heart attacks and strokes. And in another large randomized trial, switching just 25% of regular salt with potassium salt, which is still salty but helps bring down blood pressure, effectively reduced strokes and total deaths. Okay, what if you don't have high Lp(a) or generalized inflammation or blood pressure or diabetes? Well, then your risk is much lower, but you can still have heart disease if there are too many of these vehicles in circulation and if your individual genetics allows them to get through the artery wall. This is why we can have two people with the exact same blood work and one is clean as a whistle and the other has massive disease. Genetics is always a factor, just like some smokers never get lung cancer. How can you know if you individually are at risk or not? Well, one tool are imaging techniques like a calcium score or a CT angiogram or a carotid ultrasound. There's one workout that has been shown in scientific studies to help shrink the plaque in the artery wall. And we covered that in this previous video right here, so check it out and I'll meet you in there.